Mindsetters, it's the last show of spring school, and you're here with me, Megan, and my lovely leading businesswoman, Tanya. We haven't seen each other in a while, so I'm going to ask, how have you been?
I've been really well, and it has been a while, huh?
Yeah, it's been like a month or two, or 3. But nevertheless, guys, it's the last time, the last episode, day 5 of spring school. And I'm so sorry, but don't forget, do you know what's coming up? Exam revision. So next week it's going to be normal live shows, and then after that, Saturdays we will be having exam revision. So exam revision school and whatnot. But not to stress about anything, I'm going to tell you what to find on Facebook. Okay, so I'll be on facebook.com/learnextra and NBNB for this business, which is an hour and a half. Lucky you guys. We will be having the notes that are downloadable, and I'm going to ask you, please, there's a lot of notes that we're going to post that's on mindset.co.za/learnextra. But just click on it and see, is there questions that you want? And tell me after the ad break which specific questions you want to go through. That's 3.1, 3.2, 3.3, etc. So please just let me know which questions, and we can actually do it. And whatever questions you want, I promise we will do. Well, there's another exciting thing happening here at Mindset, and I don't know if you know what it is. So we have Stop the Clock competition, guys. Do you know what that is? No. So I'm going to tell you. What happens is you choose a lucky number from 0 to 9, okay? So not 12, not 34 or 56, 0 to 9. And then you know that normally a Facebook page has a lot of likes, so the last digit is going to be the indicator whether you win or not. So if I can choose a lucky number, Tanya.
My lucky number is 9.
Okay, so let's say she chooses 9. Then that last number on the likes on the Facebook page, let's say it gets 9. Then she goes into a lucky draw, and she could be the winner of this whole day. But I need to tell you how to enter. So you either share the post that I'm putting on Facebook, or you tag yourself in the post, or you comment below and we tally up whoever got 9. So all the 9s are going to go into a draw, and you, lucky mindsetter, could be the winner of today. So I urge you, I stress you to keep on doing that, because we've had so many winners, and you win a really, really, really cool mindset hamper. But do you want to just show them where to get it and whatnot? Okay, it's over there. If you see, it's 54368. So if you chose an 8, that means you would be the winner of today if you commented, shared, or not liked, but tagged yourself in the post. So I hope I've explained it right. If I haven't, drop me a comment, a message, or anything on Facebook, and I promise I will be here to help you guys. So I've just spoken for like 15 minutes. Regardless, let's get into business, Tanya, please.
Great. So grade 12s, hope your holiday has been like nice and chilled. Just remember, this is the time to relax and build yourself up to those finals. Now, today we're going to be looking at business roles and operations, and I've taken questions from the February and March 2012 papers. Now, as Megan told us, or told you at least, that I want you to go download the notes, see what you like, or see what you'd like me to go through a bit more, and I'll explain it to you. So the first thing we're going to do is look through some multiple choice questions and some questions where you have to choose the correct word between the brackets. So let's get going. I hope some of you already have your notes so you can follow me. So the first part here, we're going to look at multiple choice. Now, grade 12s, remember from previous conversations or previous lessons we've had together, take your time with multiple choice. They're generally easy enough questions, and if you're not sure, you can always go along the routes of eliminating what you don't think is right and always going back. So let's have a look at the very first question. So the first question is asking us, a business with a turnover of 10 million rand and a staff complement in excess of 50 employees must submit the following document to the Department of Labour once every 2 years. Now let's have a look at these documents. So the first one, a code of conduct. Next, a marketing strategy, a diversity plan, and the last option would be an equity plan. Now, if you think back to when we did legislation, if you have a turnover of more than 10 million and have more than 50 employees, it will be connected to your equity plan. Remember, you're going to go back to looking at affirmative actions, all those other things. So the first answer will be the equity plan. So you can write down D. The next question Now, this legislation ensures that qualified people from designated groups have equal opportunities in the workplace. Now, before I even get to the different questions, I want you to try and sit there and think, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Now, the key word there that stood out for me at least was designated groups. Now, if we think of designated groups, the first thing that pops into my mind, and hopefully your mind, would be affirmative action. Now, keeping that in mind, let's quickly look at the options, and if we're in any luck, the answer will be there. So the first one would be the Compensation for Occupational Injury and Diseases Act, Unemployment Insurance, there we go, affirmative action, and lastly, CETAs. Now remember, CETAs are involved with looking at training and skills, those types of things, so you definitely know it's not that. And as I said, before we even answered the question, we knew that the answer would be affirmative action. Remember, affirmative action goes with designated groups. Remember issues like demographics and employment equity, all those things. Let's do the third question. The third one. Now, which of the following is an advantage for a business to use for a business to use working teams? Let's have a look. A, all team members must agree upon different issues. Now, the issue is, remember, the question asked us, which of the following would be an advantage? And obviously, off the bat, we can see all team members must agree. So that's not an advantage. B, it encourages individualism. Now, that's definitely not an advantage if we are looking at teamwork. C, greater output throughout collaboration can be attained. I'm already starting to like that answer. And then lastly, technology is a requirement to succeed. That would obviously also not be an option if it's an advantage. Now remember, teamwork goes hand in hand with synergy. You did a lot of stuff in grade 11 with teamwork, and then remember with teamwork it flows into conflict resolution, conflict management, arbitration, workplace forums, and this is basically the beginning of a whole big picture, which I hope you have at this stage. The next question, 1.4, asks us a creative technique used to collect and analyze different ideas from a number of people in a specific topic. They've got the options are assessment, brainstorming, management, and diversification. Now, the second you read creative technique, I want you to, or I hope at least, that you flip back and you go to, creative thinking, problem solving, and the only answer there that's related to problem solving would obviously be brainstorming. And remember, with brainstorming, it could be done in different ways. It's not the only creative technique, but it's effective in different business situations. And you should also know what are the advantages, disadvantages, so there could be time constraints, or if there are too many ideas, how do we get around this? So keep that in mind. And 1.5, it asks us, this function creates a favorable image of the business. Then let's quickly have a look at the options. We've got public relations, human resources, risk management, and general management. The answer in this case would be public relations. So this function creates a favorable image of the business. Now remember, the business can do many different things to create a favorable image. They could advertise, and what a lot of businesses do now, remember, they get involved in charities, have fun days, things like that. And what this will do, obviously, would create an image for the company from the public's perspective, that the company either cares, they're giving back to the community, corporate social investment, which should also ring a bell to you, and things like that. So let's go into the next one. 1.6. Now, the process of finding and appointing new employees, we have employment, we've got recruitment, retrenchment, and problem solving. Now, the process of finding and appointing new staff or employees would obviously be recruitment and selection. Now, recruitment and selection is part of a bigger picture. Remember, there is induction. With induction, or before even induction, they looked at posting jobs, interviews, CVs, all those things. The next question, we're going to be looking at 1.7. Let's find it. So, disputes between an employee and an employer are resolved by making suggestions towards a possible solution for both parties. So this question is asking, so I'll read it again. Disputes between an employer and an employee are resolved by making suggestions towards a possible solution for both parties. Now, this would touch on, as I told you or touched on earlier, conflict resolution. Now, you need to remember there are two different types, so arbitration and mediation. Arbitration will always follow mediation. So mediation, both parties are trying to find a middle ground, and the third party is helping them, or they help them find a solution together. If that doesn't work, or the mediation fails, you're going to go into arbitration. And remember, with arbitration, that is when the third party makes the decision for both the two groups in conflict. So getting back to keeping that in mind, so the best possible solution for both people in this case would obviously then be mediation, because you're working together to find a common ground. Question 1.10. Now, I skipped there, 1.8. Now, who is usually responsible for the recruitment process when a new marketing assistant is required in a business? So we have shareholders, we've got a managing director, we've got a marketing manager, and lastly, human resources manager. So getting back to induction, all those things, the human resource department, or the HR function basically, would be employing new employees, creating contracts, things involved with, obviously, having people work for you. So the answer there would be human resource manager. Question 1.9. Now, which one of the following does the induction process, to which one of the following does the induction process refer? Now, this one, let's have a look. It's orientating existing workers. It could be training new employees, conducting an exit interview, and lastly, applying for a learnership. Now, let's have a quick look here. So which one of the following does induction process, does it refer to? So induction would be when you started a new job. So this is your first, think back to grade 8. You walk into high school and you're like, oh my word, this place is so big, I don't know where all my classes are, what am I going to do? And then usually what happens, the monitors, prefects will come and you'll have like a little orientation. It's the same thing when you start a job, essentially. So you're going to go into this place, and it's going to be new, scary, and you need to figure out where you are, what are you doing. And induction helps with that. So it's going to teach you where you need to literally get silly things, photocopy stuff, etc. So induction, it's when you start working at a new place. Obviously, you're not going to have induction for people who got a promotion in a job, purely based on the fact that they already work there, so they know what's happening. So the answer in this case would be training. So B, training new employees. Now that was the end of the multiple choice questions. What I want to do now is just 2 or 3, I think it's about 5 questions, with choosing correct words between the brackets. These are easy, literally grade 12s, you've got like a 50% chance.
Please, either or. I mean, really.
Obviously what I would like you to do is like figure it out and get the right answer, but please never leave a blank. Always try and figure it out, okay?
You can even surprise yourself sometimes.
Yes. So like a 50% odds not great, but at least it's not a blank space. So again, like I always encourage you, grab your highlighter, follow along with me, and let's have a look at the very first question. So the first question asks us, now the last step in conflict resolution after mediation has deadlocked is referred to as arbitration or conciliation. And literally about 30 seconds ago, I was talking about mediation and arbitration. Remember, always after mediation has failed, you're going to go to arbitration. So that's a nice, easy one. So the answer for this, arbitration. So the last step in conflict resolution after mediation deadlocked is referred to as arbitration. Then question 2.2, let's have a look. So staff development or induction programs aim to provide existing employees with basic knowledge and skills. So let's have a look here. So the key word here would be existing employees. In this case, remember, induction refers to new employees coming into a business. So obviously this would be existing staff getting training. So the answer in this case would be the staff development programs aims to provide existing employees with basic knowledge and skills. Question 2.3, they ask us, or it starts off, let me read the question and I'll explain. So it's the Porter's 5 Forces, or the King's Code, was introduced to promote good corporate governance because of the prevalence of corruption and unethical business practices. Now, at this stage, grade 12s, the second you hear corporate governance, you should know it's King's Code. Easy as that. Now, with King's Code, remember, it's the corporate governance, and we're going to go into a little bit more detail later on that. But with corporate governance, 3 big things. It's people, planet, and profit, the triple bottom line. These all go hand in hand, and it's very important that you guys understand what the King's Code consists of. So this one was easy. So the King's Code was introduced to promote good corporate governance because of the prevalence of corruption and business or unethical business practices. Question 2.4. Now, when a business enterprise supports the triple bottom line or human rights, they will consider the social, environmental, and economic impact in its region. So I sort of jumped the gun on the question there in the previous one. So again, corporate governance, King's Code, triple bottom line, people, planet, profit. And let me write this down for you so you've got it. So it's the 3 Ps. So it's people. Oh, that's all over the show. Let's, guys, you write this
people.
down.
Not that.
No, the pen went all squiggly and that was my fault. So people, planet, profit. You get that down. And in the same breath, what corresponds with that would be environment. And what do we have here? Environment, social, and economic impact on the immediate environment as well as on, the whole of South Africa, really. The last question here, 2.5, the Labour Relations Act, move this up, the Labour Relations Act of 95, or the Employment Equity Act, allows employers to prevent employees from entering the business premises during strike action. Now, let's quickly have a look at what are the 2 acts. Labour Relations Act focuses on the relationship between employers, employees, as well as government. Employment equity employment equity focuses on things like affirmative action, demographics. So this should help you give you an answer, yeah. If it strikes and we're looking at trade unions, again, the relationship between employers and employees, it'll obviously be the Labour Relations Act. So the Labour Relations Act allows employers to prevent employees from entering the business area. Now, grade 12s, remember, so as an employee, you're allowed to join a trade union, but as an employer, you can belong to other associations which protect you as an employer as well. And both parties have sort of like legal protection if everything's done above board.
Yeah.
Have we had any questions or requests of questions?
No. Well, we can check after the break, I think. Is it almost time for a break?
I think, yeah. Let's have a break.
Little break. But I forgot to ask you, what number are you choosing?
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay. Oh, yeah, right. I did ask you, sort of. Okay. Well, I'm going to choose number. What one haven't I chosen? I'll try 5 again. I chose 5 last year. I'll choose it again. But we'll be back right after the break. Mindsetters, don't go anywhere. Welcome back, guys. So as I was saying before the break, we're having a competition. Go look on the page. I've posted, I see we have 20 people sharing it and 44 people commenting already. So if you want to be one of those winners, guys, that was a bit slurry. If you want to be one of those winners, guys, I suggest that you post because I will be on the page. And I also told you guys that we posted the notes that we're going through now, and we want you to tell us which questions you want. So do you specifically want 4.3? Do you want 3.3? Do you want 2.1? There isn't one, but I'm just saying. Just tell us which ones you want, and I promise you we'll go through it. So please just post for us if you download the notes, and I've told you it's at mindset.co.za/learn extra. It'll be there. Just click, download, look at the questions, go through them, see which ones you struggle with, which ones you want help with, and then Tanya can go through them with you. So please post for us, I beg of you, please. And let's get back to business with our either-or questions.
Okay, good stuff. So we actually finished the either-or questions.
Okay, not either-or questions.
Well, actually, not either-or. You should know the answer either way.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. So question 3, what we're going to be looking at now it's part of the HR function, so human resources. We touched on recruitment, selection. This question focuses on induction. Remember, before the break, we looked at induction, where you're going into a company, you're a new staff member, and you're trying to figure out just the environment you're in. So let's have a look at the questions. 3.1. So state 4 state 4 purposes of induction programs in the workplace. So this question is asking you, why do you have an induction program? And off the top of your head, again, think back to grade 8. Why did you want to have somebody to tell you, why did you want the teachers and people to tell you what to do and where to go? Because you'd be confused.
You were like a little fish in this big little pond.
So you need to go to room 46. I don't know where
What?
room 46 is.
Yeah.
So same thing. So you started your job and you need to know the ins and outs. So what are the purposes? The first purpose that I have here, let's have a look. It makes the new employee feel at ease in the workplace. And that's quite obvious. If you know where you're going, if you need to go make some coffee, if you need to go somewhere, it just makes you feel at ease knowing where to go and what to do. Another purpose of an induction program would be it introduces new employees to management as well as colleagues. So when you start working there, you need to know, well, you want to know who you're working with, who you need to sort of network with. So with part of induction, you get to know the people you're working with, and well, also I suppose the people you're working for. Another purpose of induction program, went back a page. Another purpose of this would be it introduces the new employees to various departments of an organization. So payroll, any other department, again, this is just to make you comfortable with the environment. Another purpose, it communicates rules, regulations, and the code of conduct to the new employee. At this stage, grade 12s, you should have a good idea of the code of conduct. Remember, code of conduct also goes hand in hand with code of ethics, business ethics, personal ethics, and it's important for employees to know what the business's what their code of ethics involves, so they can obviously adhere to it and obviously be a good employee. And the last example I'll put in for you would be new employees will familiarize themselves with their new work environment, the business, and the product and services. So you started a new job, and obviously there's going to be a product, a service, something you're selling, something you're working on. And in the induction program, they will make you they'll help you understand what they're selling, why they're selling it, and again, what product or service it is, and what the features are, or what the selling points are. So I hope that helped you out with induction. Let's go to the next question.
Will you just tell me when you're going to go to like is this question 4?
No, we're still at question 3.
Okay. No, because someone did ask this, they gave me the question, they just didn't say which one. So whenever you finish question, let me just ask. It's Tindani. If you just want to post for me which question, you wrote the question out, but just tell us which one it is. So whenever...
Okay, so I'm going to go through question 3. Send us the exact number, so 4.2, and then I will do that. I promise you that's the first thing I'll do.
Yeah, do that.
Great. So let's have a look at this one. So it asks us, define unethical advertising and give 2 examples to illustrate its meaning. So unethical advertising, again, goes hand in hand with what I said earlier. It's codes of conduct. With ethics, remember, we look at unfair advertising, pricing in rural areas. There's a whole lot to ethics. And with unfair advertising, if we just think of in South Africa, so what would be unfair advertising? So unfair advertising would basically be if you're going to be misleading or you're trying to sell a product and these features aren't true. So it's a magic pill. If you drink 2 of these, you're going to lose 20 Ks in a week.
Imagine.
Now, that sounds awesome, but even like as you're saying it, you're going, right? So that's not ethical. That is not, you are overstating a product's features.
Yeah. What it does, yeah.
So let's have a look. So what is the definition of unethical advertising? The definition I have here for you would be unethical advertising can be referred to as misleading advertising. So again, misleading could be anything. Are you overstating the product, the features of the product? Is the name misleading?
That happened to me the other day, actually. Would it be, I bought a kettle, and it said it was $5.99 at Pick n Pay. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but anyway, at a shopping place, and then I got to the till and they charged me $6.50. Does that count? Not really, because they advertised it as $5.99.
If it's advertised, grade 12s, it has to be that price.
Yeah, and then I was silly enough not to argue for my money, but don't do that. If it says it's that on the page or wherever you see it, then you must argue. get your price right. Yeah, that happened to me. Don't do
So,
it.
with the unethical, again, good example. So you need to make sure that what you're doing corresponds. And as a company as a whole, grade 12s, remember with ethics, you want people to see your company as being ethical because customers will support you. As well as it goes into a lot of other things, but as a company you need to be ethical and follow moral codes. And remember, even if companies are not too sure about what to do, that's why we have legislation. Okay, so you know how to treat your workers, remuneration, all those issues are covered for companies or businesses. So we've got the definition, it's when a product or when it's misleading. Then examples, it could be, like I said, using false or deceptive advertising. It could be unfairly criticizing competitors' goods. Let's do one more, giving goods deceptive names. So I quickly want to discuss two of them. So giving products deceptive names. So a deceptive name would be, let's think, amazing, wonderful, guaranteed slim. That's the product's name. It sounds a bit ridiculous, but let's say that's it. Okay, so it's misleading. Nothing's going to make you lose 12 Ks in 2 weeks. Unless you exercise and it's not healthy, stuff like that. So it's misleading information. And another one I have here for you, it's unfairly criticizing competitors' goods. In South Africa, we cannot compare two products. So I can't take soda A and soda B and say, my soda A is better than B. In America, for example, you're allowed to compare products. With South African advertising, you cannot criticize another product, showing the product and giving the product's name. So that would be, in our terms at least, unethical advertising.
Is that like, have you heard the bank adverts always? Like, hi, I'm Phil from Beat Bank, like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's because companies literally can't
Say the name,
which
yeah.
bank they're from or which soda they're drinking. So let's go to another one. I hope you are going through these notes, grade 12s, and finding questions you want me to answer. Now, question 3.3, it asks us to read through the case study and answer questions that follow. Now, with a case study, grade 12s, always grab a highlighter. It's the easiest and nicest way, especially if there's a calculation at some stage, that you've got all the important information there, and you don't have to go back and reread the whole question every time or the whole case study. So grab your highlighters. I know it's printed. I know it's in front of you. Let's do this. So this is the case study looks at chalky brick and sand suppliers. Now, Peter Kamalo works for chalky bricks and sand suppliers. Now, a business that manufactures bricks and supplies sand to clients in and around Hazyview. Now, employees work 11 hours a day from Monday to Saturday, including public holidays.
These
Now,
poor employers.
The general manager rarely sees or talks to any of the employees or listens to their grievances. Now, as I'm reading this grade 12, I'm sure you can pick up that there's a lot going wrong in this business. Now, employees of the company are not allowed to join trade unions, and when employees lodge complaints with supervisors, they are threatened with dismissal. Remember dismissal? They're going to be fired. Now, the morale of the employees, it's low, and they show signs of stress. Now, the workplace is very dusty, and employees do not use face masks. So, just off the top of off the top of my head, we've got issues here with working hours, how many hours they're working. It's not mentioning anything with overtime. It's also they're working Monday to Saturday. They are not getting paid double. Remember, that's an issue if you're working on public holidays. You should be paid double. What else can I, just off the top of my head?
They're not allowed to join trade unions. Did you say that?
Yes. No,
Yeah.
I haven't said. So, big one, not allowed to join trade unions. We are all allowed to join trade unions. And the employer also said that they, if they go and have if they have a grievance about something, instead of listening to their workers, they sort of like intimidate them by telling them that they will be dismissed. And remember, South African labour law, we can't just fire you.
No.
Okay, there has to be a proper reason and procedures need to be followed. So again, keeping all of these things in mind that we've just highlighted, let's go have a look at the first question. The first question, 3.3.1, they ask us, identify the causes of the stress of employees at chalky brick and sand suppliers. So identify the causes of stress. So again, just those things we highlighted, I just spoke about them. You can pick up a lot of things that's causing stress. And very important grade 12s, and after marking a whole bunch of prelims,
She knows.
I have a good idea that a lot of you don't read your questions. Please, please, please read your questions. What happens often, the question asks you specifically to refer to the case study, and what you end up doing is just writing what you know. And then you lose marks because it's not in reference to the case study. Or even the other way around. They're not asking you to refer to the case study, and you're referring to it. So in this case, they're asking you directly, they're telling you to read the case study. So make sure that you read the case study and use the questions or the answers from the case study. So the first part, or just to remind you what the question was, what are the causes of stress? So the causes of stress would be the harassment of employees by supervisors that threaten them with dismissal. So obviously that's a stressful situation. Every time you want to go speak to your boss or you need something sorted out, you get threatened, dismissal, really. So that will definitely cause stress. Another stressor would be poor communication. So poor communication between the manager and employees. And the poor, let's go with that one. The poor communication, again, goes with not being able to lodge a grievance or having any working relationship with your employer. And then let's go one further. I don't know if I wrote it down. The fact that you can't join a trade, they discouraging employees to join trade unions will make this even more difficult, because obviously you would know if you're part of a trade union, pardon, you can obviously have your rights, sort of help people look after your rights. Another cause of stress would be that there are no grievance handling procedures, like I mentioned. Also, employees work too long hours, which was that 11 hours a day, including all public holidays. Now, if you think back to the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, if you work for 6 days a week, there are a certain number of hours you're allowed to work, etc. So 11 hours a day, 6 days a week, that's definitely not conducive to a good working environment. And let's do one more cause of stress. A cause of stress would be poor working conditions. And this is because it's very dusty and employees do not wear face masks. So this would go, let's go further down. So let's look at workman's compensation. If you're working in an environment that doesn't make you, that makes you sick, literally, you can imagine how you would feel doing that all day. It's going to affect your work. And remember, you want your workers and your employees to be healthy because they simply just work better, literally. And this is also against the law. Remember, Basic Conditions of Employment, or any Labour Relations Act will basically come back to you need to look after your employees.
Okay.
And
do you want to go for an ad break so we can get some other questions, just
I
in
would
case
like
they're
that, yes.
struggling? Okay. So, mindset, as I told you in the beginning, please go post questions you want us to give you answers on, and I promise we can help you. See you after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. So before the break, I told you that we wanted some questions, but I think we've gotten a little bit confused somewhere along the line. So what I want you to do, if you could please do it, is go to learnextra.co.za/spring school. That's where the notes are that we're going through now. Then you click on this show, which is 2:30, and then you download the notes, and then you look at those questions, and you say, like we're doing now, 3.3.2, and you read it, and you think, okay, I don't really know what's going on. And then you post on the page, you post for me, or you write on the bottom of a picture something, and you say, Megs, can I please do question, or can you go through 3.3.2, and then I'll tell Tanya, and boom, then you don't have to worry about it, and then your question will be answered, I promise you. So please try and do that for me. And another thing, don't forget our competition. The winner will be announced at the end of the show, 1 winner per day, so don't forget, choose your number wisely. Tanya's is 9 and mine is 5. So let's do 3.3.2.
Okay, so 3.3.1, before the ad break, we read that case study. It was chalk-air suppliers, and basically we had to pick up what is causing stress. Besides what's causing stress, it's also what's going against actually South African laws at the moment. And this question could have been asked in this way, but it could also have asked you to use labor law and labor relations concepts to answer the question. So just keep in mind that these questions can be asked in different ways. So the first question we answered was what is causing stress, and this question we're going to be looking at what can managers do to reduce stress. So let's have a look. What can managers do to reduce the stress? So again, because the first question in grade 12s, the first question 3.3.1 was asking you in relation to the case study, you answered using the case study, right? Now, this question, again, is asking you to use the case study. So keep that in mind and literally say the suppliers or chalky suppliers need to do, or the managers need to do, the following things. So case study, very, very important, refer to it. What can they do? So what can management, or explain the 5 ways in which management of chalky brick and sand suppliers can reduce the stress levels of employees. So the first one I have here, management of chalky bricks and sand suppliers should implement stress management training for employees. Example could be training programs in stress management. I jumped around there, sorry about that. So they could provide training and programs in stress management. So literally have somebody come and have a talk on how to deal with stress. If you have a stressful life, time management, areas around that. So the company could bring somebody in to literally help employees manage their stress. Another thing that management can do, or they should do, they must put together wellness programs in place to ensure good health for workers. Example, recreation facilities, etc. Again, remember, a healthy worker is an effective worker, efficient worker. So having your employees healthy mentally and physically will make them more productive. In other words, remember, we're doing business. In the long run, the harder they work, theoretically, the more money you should make. Another important aspect, remember, we are looking at ways in which management can reduce stress, would be the working environment must be safe and healthy. So example, the use of face masks. So literally having a healthy working environment will make it easier for workers to do their job because they're not feeling sick. But also remember, if we look at basic conditions of employment, for example, and there's a whole lot of them, workers need to be in an environment where they feel safe and healthy. So besides this improving sort of management issues, this will also just be like a legal thing. And let's do 2 more. So the working hours of employees should be reduced to acceptable levels. Remember, depending on how many days a week you work, etc. And this they can use by implementing the basic conditions of employment. The last way to reduce stress would be management should improve communication with employees. Example, involve employees in decision making, etc. So besides management just having more communication or open communication with employees, a very important thing that I remember now from the case study, if an employee wants to create brings forward a grievance procedure, the managers just shut them down. The company should also have in place formal grievance procedures, and inform employees on how to follow the grievance procedure and provide employees opportunities to go with these grievances. And I think we've got one last question related to this case study. Yes, it's question 3.4. Now, question 3.4, and I want you to follow me here, grade 12s, because that's why I've been repeating myself over and over. It says, explain how the quality of performance of the production function can impact on a large business organization. So this question 3.4, is not asking you to take the case study and sort of use the case study to answer this. They're asking you a straightforward question. How is quality of performance going to affect the business? Remember, quality of performance, it's usually like the last chapter in your textbook, and this involves a lot of stuff that we assume that you remember from grade 11, issues like SABS, standardization, issues like that. But before I get way ahead of myself, let's just look at the actual question. So the question is asking us, explain how the quality of performance of the production function can impact on a large organization. So the first part here, and I'd like to explain each of them. The first part here, there is a negative impact on the business if poor quality goods or services are made. Example, more rejects are produced. So literally, grade 12s, with quality of performance, if you're producing too many rejects or defects, so let's say you're making, I don't know, light bulbs, and too many of the light bulbs are broken and you have to throw them away because obviously you can't sell broken products, you're losing money. This product has now, you've spent money on raw materials, you've paid workers, paid rent, all these things, and you're now throwing this product away. So you're literally throwing money away. On the other hand, if there are too many defect products or bad services, people will not buy the product. So I've bought it twice and both times it's broken, for example. I will definitely not go back and buy this product. So with bad quality products, it will definitely affect literally how much profit you can make. Let's have a look at a different one. So with having let's go back to the question. So how the quality of performance of the product can impact on a large business. Another one. So minimum downtime or work stoppages would also help with, let's read this again just one more time. So minimum downtime and work will reduce sorry, I lost myself there. So if your workers are working and your machines are working and everything is in a high quality, what will happen is your business will just run smoother. So if your machines are working, your workers are trained, your quality of product, the quality of your production will go up, and thus, again, if your company is working well, you should be making money. Another quality performance, or how the quality performance will impact the business, would be large businesses are technologically orientated, so products and services can be of a higher quality. So if a company is using technology, so sophisticated machinery, sophisticated computers, it will bring down the rate of error. So think about this logically. If I'm going to sit and make 10 desks, I'm a human being, so chances are somewhere a mistake's going to slip in. If you're using good quality machinery, high quality technology, there should be less mistakes, literally, again. And remember, if there are less mistakes, there are less, so you're not throwing away defects anymore. And remember, those defects cost you money. And I want to do one more quality of performance point with you. So the methods of control can be implemented so that fewer defective products can be produced. So example, increasing the number of inspection points. So again, you're producing, I'm just going to go with the light bulbs. So you're producing a whole lot of light bulbs, and there's this really fancy TV show where they show how things are produced. And on this, they literally show that you get these really like high-tech cameras. So as these light bulbs are going through, it's not just like a person's standing there checking the light bulb. There's an actual computer checking it. And again, this is just creating higher quality products that will appeal more to customers. With this question, grade 12s, I'd like you to keep in mind, remember the issues of SABS, ISO 9000, and sort of quality control measures that we did in grade 11. So you need to be able to put the two together. And I'd like to go one further. So remember, we did types of production. So you get mass, job, batch production. Those things even come into play at this stage. So just if you're not familiar, just go back, just have a quick read. If you're not sure, pick it up. Now, Meg, I think we're at the end of question 3. Has anybody requested the question 4, or am I just going to go with it?
Nope, no one's requested it.
So grade 12s, your printed notes, we're going to carry on with question 4.
Yeah.
So we are done with HR function for now. This question will go into something slightly different, so let's have a look. This question 4.1, and we're moving into more career pathing. So it's asking us, state 4 factors that must be considered when choosing a career path. So you know what it's like. You're in grade 12. You've been like, what should I study? Where should I study? What should I do? And this is part of this. So with career pathing, you need to keep certain things in mind, and I'll list them for you. But for example, how much money? How important is money to you? Do you want to get a job that is socially responsible? You're giving back, or would you rather have a kind of job where you're making more money? Would you be willing to relocate, for example? So let's have a look. So what factors should you consider when you're choosing your career path? So the first one, like I mentioned before, financial implications. So do you want to work for the good of society? Do you want to work to make money? Stuff like that. The second thing to consider would be risk. So literally, different jobs have different risks. If you're working on a oil rig, for example, in the middle of the ocean, that's a lot more dangerous than sitting behind a desk. So what kind of risks are you willing to take? And remember, with risk, often there's reward. The higher the risk, the higher reward. So keep things like that in mind. Another thing to consider would be your morals and values. So if you choose a career that's going to go against what you believe, obviously that's not the career for you because you'll always be in conflict. Another thing to keep in mind would be your ethics, your culture, your religion, whether you're willing to relocate. And with relocation, so let's say you want to start a job, and this job really only it focuses more, or it's predominant in Cape Town. So are you willing to leave where you're living to, for example, to go to live in Cape Town? Now with careers, grade 12s, with career pathing, remember, besides looking at factors to consider, you have vertical career pathing as well as horizontal career pathing. So keep that in mind. The next question I have on this, for question 4.2, now, so that question we looked at career pathing. This question, a couple of you asked on Facebook about the triple bottom line, King's Code. This question is going to look at it, so hopefully it's going to answer some of your questions. So let's have a look at this question. So the question is, in 1994, Judge Mervyn King tabled a report recommending key principles according to which businesses in South Africa should operate. Now state any 4 key principles identified in the King's Code. And again, we've posted it online. Somebody asked earlier about the triple P. That's just for me an easy way to remember. Remember, it's people, planet, and profit. Okay, and that could be said in it could be said in many different ways. Those are just the easiest way to remember that. So let's look at the key principles. I'm going to go through each of the principles, seeing that a lot of you are interested in this. So the first key principle would be good governance. So literally, are you following the laws of the country? Do you stick to your code of ethics that the company has set? So basically, are you following laws and are you being ethical about these things? Another principle with the King's Code would be sustainability. So a good example there would be, what is your company doing? Is it like, are you creating work for the long run? Or are you just doing stuff to get things done right now? Another important part here, it's independence. Is the company innovative? Is the company fair? So with fairness, again, a company doesn't have to necessarily want to be fair or not. There are laws in South Africa that regulate this. So companies, if they're following the King's Code, need to stick with fairness. So treating employees all equally, for example, would be something there. The next one, social transformation. So requirements specified. So what is your company doing to change what's happening? So are you part of education, corporate social investment, things like that? Another important factor would be having a board of directors with good leadership and looking at shareholder specification. And lastly, transparency. So is your company open? So if you are producing things that could possibly be hazardous to the population, are you making sure that A, that you're not harming, and B, are you open and honest about what you're doing with your waste products, for example? I hope this helped you with the King's Code.
Yeah, I think that helped me. So do you think it's time for a break?
I think so.
Okay, mindsetters, don't stress, don't fear. We'll be back right after the break. Welcome back, mindsetters. Hope you had a good break. You guys are feeling refreshed. We only have half an hour to go, and I hope you guys keep posting. Look, you might win that competition. You never know. You could have chosen the lucky number, but we'll have to see a little bit later. But I just want to tell you, hallelujah, we found someone that wants to do question 5. And what is his name? I just need to find him. Mpiwe, thank you so much. We're going to go through question 5, especially for you. So Tanya, please go through it.
So question 5, again, remember this question was adapted from the 2012 February-March paper. And you can find it in there if you don't have these specific notes, but I encourage you obviously to have these notes.
Do that.
Now, with an essay grade 12s, again, I just marked a whole lot of like freedoms, so I know what you guys do wrong. So what I need you to do is please remember, it's got a format, grade 12s. It's got an introduction, it's got a body, it's got a conclusion. Remember, the introduction is always 3, the body 27 marks, the conclusion 2 marks, and then the last bit, remember, it's lasso. Those are the other 8 marks that make up an essay. So just make sure you stick to your essay format and make it clear. Show people, this is my introduction, this is my body, this is my conclusion. I even encourage you to write it down.
Skip a line.
And skip a line.
Yeah,
I'll actually encourage that even more.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at question 5. Question 5, there's a little part to read before we get into it. So conflict can be either positive or negative. Either way, if not properly addressed, it can lead to a crisis. So that's just the statement. Let's see what they actually want us to discuss. So discuss the causes as well as the types of conflict, and then evaluate the roles played by management. Now, also workplace forums and trade unions, I'm going to read that again. So discuss the causes as well as the types of conflict, and then evaluate the roles played by management, workplace forums, and trade unions, and minimizing conflict in the workplace. Also briefly explain whether you agree with the above statement or not. Remember, the above statement was conflict can be good or bad, but either way, you need to deal with it, else it could lead to something obviously negative. So the first part, yeah, again, like I emphasized to you grade 12s, make sure you've got your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. So the question is asking, or the question, there was a statement, and then they asked us to discuss something. So in this case, grade 12s, the introduction really gives you freedom to discuss just about anything. So if you're not sure, give a definition on conflict, give a definition on workplace forums, but write something there that is substantial. So what do I mean with substantial? That you're actually saying something that has a point, so a definition, a fact, but it has to obviously be in relation to the essay topic. So the examples I have here for you is, first off, conflict is a natural clash or disagreement or differences of opinion regarding values between employers, managers, and team members. So do you see how that's a nice general statement? I'm saying something, and when I say something again, it's something substantial, so there's definitely a mark worth there. And the second point I have here, it results in a situation where each partner wants to win, but is not willing to compromise. So again, conflict, it could be between just about anybody in a workplace situation, and it's important obviously to manage these conflict situations, because if people are in conflict, obviously they're not being productive. If you're not being productive, you're not making money for the business at the end of the day. And you'll see that I left one open on purpose where it says any other appropriate definition of conflict. So anything you can think of or you've been taught about conflict, you can place in that introduction. So 3 points, point form, anything in relation to conflict. Now we're going to move into the body. Remember, the body is worth 27 marks. Now, with the body of this essay, and that's the reason, grade 12s, why I circled all these keywords for you. They are telling you what they want from this essay. So discuss the causes as well as the types of conflict, then evaluate the roles played by management, workplace forums, as well as trade unions, in minimizing the conflict in the workplace, as well as briefly explain whether you agree or disagree with the above statement. So in the actual question, grade 12s, because many of my grade 12s say, oh, I don't know which subheadings to use, they give it away, literally. You just need to be able to find the subheadings in the question. So the first part here that I took would be discussion of the statement. So this would be your subheading, so body and your first subheading. With this discussion of the statement, you obviously can agree or disagree with the statement, but you obviously need to substantiate it. So why do I agree with the statement, or why do I disagree with the statement? Let's have a look. So the discussion of the statement. So conflict occurs when there are 2 or more values or opinions upon which there is no agreement. So this is what conflict is. Now, conflict takes place between employees operating at different levels of management in an organization. So conflict could be between managers, subordinates, just people in different levels of a business being in conflict or disagreement. Another part here, conflict must be resolved very quickly by management through various ways. And let's do one more here. Conflict helps employees to benefit positively out of their differences. And that statement's really just there. So if you have been in conflict with somebody, what can you learn from the situation? And it's important for management, again, to solve this as quickly as possible. Why? Because you want your workers to be productive. The next subheading I have for you is causes of conflict. So what causes conflict at work? It's off the top of your head, you can think about it could be people don't have enough resources, so you're all fighting over the same computer. It could be differences in values, morals, and norms. But let's have a look. So the first one I've got here, the first cause of conflict could be weakness or weak leadership. Now, weak leadership. Now, this would be leadership which makes inconsistent decisions or is ununiformed. Now, this will obviously give rise to unhappiness with the employees, and workers may become disillusioned with what they're doing. So if the leader or the manager is actually weak, it will affect the workers. Why? Because you are not given guidance to where you need to go or what you need to do to make your job or do your job the best way you can. So weak leadership will definitely be a cause of conflict. Let's have a look at another cause of conflict. Another cause of conflict would be, let me find it. Another cause of conflict would be poor communication or miscommunication. Now, poor communication or miscommunication, so decisions are made in the company by managers, for example, and this information is not filtered through properly to workers. So you can think about that. So somebody makes a choice, they don't inform you, and then suddenly this thing is just, there's something you have to do, and you weren't really involved in the decision, and you don't understand why you're doing it. So that should definitely cause conflict. So poor communication or miscommunication will cause conflict. I'm not going to explain that because I just went through that now. Let's have a look at another cause of conflict. So it could be social factors or personality clashes. So with personality clashes, you know what it's like. Sometimes you just don't get along with someone. And in a company, unfortunately, whether you get along with somebody or not, you still have to work with them. So personality clashes would also be a cause of conflict. Let's just look at one point here. So this could be different cultures or lack of information or knowledge about the employee beliefs usually lead to differences and will lead to bad working relationships. So if you literally don't understand somebody, often you don't get along. So it's important for management to understand or at least be sensitive to the workers' cultures, backgrounds, things like that. I want to do one more cause of conflict. And the last cause of conflict, we can do distrust. Now, distrust is when a supervisor does not understand the work of a subordinate and the subordinate perceives his or her superior to be unsympathetic. So in other words, distrust. So in this example that I gave you, it could be I'm doing my job and my supervisor, for example, isn't happy with what I'm doing.
John.
But the supervisor
John won't be happy.
doesn't necessarily know what I'm doing. So there, again, do you see how that could also follow up to issues like miscommunication? So there needs to be open communication between different levels of management and workers in a business. I'd like to go to the next subheading now on the next page. Remember, again, we're just looking at the questions or the points in the body that they asked us to look at. So types of conflict. Now, types of conflict. So we just looked at reasons of conflict. So why do people go into conflict? The next question, the next part of the essay was they asked us about what are the types of conflict. So I'm going to quickly go through the types of conflict. So the first type could be inter-organizational conflict. So this would be conflict between an organization and its supplier, for example. So you need your suppliers obviously to come on time to your company so that you can produce what you have to produce. And if these people aren't doing it, it's obviously affecting your production, for example. Another type of conflict could be conflict, and I think this one's more common. It could be conflict between colleagues on the same management level. So this is conflict between a supervisor in one department and a supervisor in another department. So conflict between colleagues on the same on the same management level. So this would literally be, let's say, two frontline supervisors or managers in conflict with each other for whichever reason they've got. So that's a type of conflict. So people at the same level in a company having conflict with each other. It could also be conflict between a manager and a subordinate. So conflict between a manager and a subordinate. So it's basically going to be a superior and one of their employees not agreeing or not working together very well. And again, guys, why do we care, or why would businesses care about types of conflict and conflict in general? Because we want people to be at ease and work as hard as they can be. Remember, if you're fighting, you're not focusing. And again, if you're not focusing, you're not working. And let's do one more. One more type of conflict could be an intergroup conflict. Now, this could be conflicts between team members who are arguing about the best method to approach a different task. So this would be a nice example, yeah, and we've all had that really bad experience with that, where at school a teacher puts you in a group of 4 and you have to now suddenly produce this beautiful project, and you don't get along with the people in your group. So that could also be a type of conflict within a team, people not gelling together really well at the end of the day, and again, not producing as much as they could. Now I'm going to go to another subheading in the body of the essay. This would be, if you remember grade 12s, where they said provide evaluation. So in other words, ways of handling or minimizing conflict by management. Now the first way to evaluate, or the first way, remember it's evaluation, so the first way we can minimize the effect of conflict would be for management to make sure that people are remunerated fairly or paid fairly. So this would be payment of, pay employees fair and reasonable salaries. So again, if you feel like you're being paid in relation to what you're doing, you'll probably be more willing to work hard for what you're doing. Another way to minimize would be to ensure that the organization adheres to legislation such as the Basic Conditions of Employment Act as well as Employment Equity Act. So literally a simple way of making sure your employees are happy would be following the law. I'm going to do one more evaluation with you. So this would be allowing employees to take part in the decision-making process. So think about this logically, grade 12s. If you're part of making a decision, it's easier for you to follow the decision because you helped make the decision, so you're part of the decision. Then I want to go to the next subheading. So let's have a look. The next subheading would be ways of handling or minimizing conflict within a workplace forum. Remember, workplace forums, it's a whole different structure, grade 12s. So I'm going to quickly touch on workplace forums. Let's do one on the workplace forum. So you need to be committed to employee welfare. You need to be involved in collective bargaining. Do you see how this is touching on trade unions? As well as consult with employees as well as employers. So workplace forum is literally there to make sure that parties are communicating and any issues are being ironed out. Let's go to the next part. Now the next part, ways of handling and minimizing conflict by the use of trade unions. So what a company can do then is be proactive in identifying crisis situations. So if you see something is going to start going wrong, instead of waiting for it to go wrong, try and handle the situation before it gets there, before it gets to trade unions, before it gets to strikes, and people generally losing money. Now, let's do one more with the trade union. So ways to minimize using trade unions would also be embark on agreements regarding wage increases. People often, whenever you read the newspaper, it's often about people feel that they're not getting paid enough. So again, negotiating, bargaining, speaking to trade unions before the situation escalates, and getting to a happy halfway before people strike and have any other industrial action, which, remember, industrial action it's not just striking, it's go-slows, it's a whole lot of them. I do think we need to have a break, though.
Yep, break time, and guess what's happening after the break? So I suggest you comment, share on your wall with your lucky number, or tag yourself in the post on what you think the number is going to be, because we'll be announcing it soon after the break. So don't go anywhere. We will be back after the break. Welcome back, Mindsetters. I know you know what time it is. Yes, it is time for our competition to end. So sad. It has finally come to the last day, the last number, the last guess, the last everything. So, stop the clock competition is going to end, but I'm first going to ask Tanya, please refresh our page so we can see what our number is. Eep, eep, eep. Oh, it's a 0. Oh, guys. You know what was so funny in the ad break? I was like, oh, it's still on 9, it's still on 9. And then, look here, 0. So, stop the clock has stopped on 0. It's the last one. It's Friday. It's the last time. Day 5 of spring school is over, unfortunately. But if you chose lucky number 0, 0, 0, then you know what? Your name's going to go into the draw, and I will let you know. Maybe you've been the winner for today. So thank you guys for playing. Thank you for posting all your comments. And we've got a few minutes to go. So last few minutes of business here at spring school. Let's go.
So, grade 12s, before the ad break, we started looking at trade unions and how can managers use trade unions to minimize the effects on the workers with conflict. Another point to this would be by using trade unions, they can, by using this, so that it be implement policies that would increase employment. In other words, having more people employed. Remember, South Africa has a very high unemployment rate, and this will obviously increase or encourage our economy to grow. Another part of this would be improved working conditions. Again, remember, if it's not, it's basically illegal to have bad working conditions, for example. Now, we've answered all. Remember, we did the conclusion, which was out of 3. Then I went to the body, which, again, remember I showed you by taking the actual questions, asking you what to discuss, highlighting that, taking and using that information. And now we've got to the last part here, which was the conclusion. Remember, the conclusion's out of 2. And again, grade 12s, a lot of you battle with trying to come up with something with a conclusion. Well, what do you trust your, first off, I'd like to say trust yourself. And what I mean with trust yourself is, like, you've just written a whole essay on conflict, touching on different things, looking at trade unions, workplace forums, evaluating it. So you've got a good idea of what you just spoke about, and you use this information, but very important, don't repeat any information you used in your body in your conclusion. So what is your conclusion going to look like? Let's go down. I should make sure I haven't skipped anything. No. So in your conclusion, what I wrote here, management should regard conflict as a process to be well managed and handled, but not avoided. So again, nice general statement. We've already said management needs to be doing this, but we're now just elaborating on it, and remember, we're not repeating. And the last point I have here for you, unresolved conflict could impact on the organization negatively, and could result in unethical or unprofessional behavior and practices which could affect the image as well as the reputation of the organization. So remember, you want to have a good name as a company. That's why we've got HR, PR. We're doing all these different things, making sure we're doing things right, so that people think our business is worthwhile and obviously a company we want to support. Now, grade 12s, this is your essay, and a lot of you get very, lack of a better word, you get stressed out writing an essay. Just remember, you have 4 essays in your final coming up, and you pick 2 of the 4. Obviously pick the 2 that you know the most about. And I know a lot of you don't do planning for essays and business, but plan it beforehand, just on this piece of paper somewhere.
Like a little mind map, just bubble, and then headings, little headings, and then from there, little points. And that's how I did it.
There we go. And it will reduce your stress levels. I promise, that's almost like a guarantee. If you plan it, it will reduce your stress levels. So keep that in mind.
And then you can also add as you go along. Yeah.
And it's a nice point to work from. Now, I've finished question 5, and this is giving me a bit of time to go back to the question 4 that I was looking at earlier.
Yeah.
So just give me a sec. I'm going to go back.
Okay, no problem.
Thank
I'll
you.
just tell you guys about next week. We're going to have live shows. I don't know if I've told you, but next week it's back to normal routine, normal live shows every single day. I know we'll be seeing you, so don't be sad, don't be blue. And guess what? Then exam school starts, guys. So Saturdays, watch out for that, because you never know. Your presenters will be every Saturday until you are prepared for your exams. So you're on question 4.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
So what I've done now, we've looked at question 5, we finished that. I went back to question 4, and question 4 had a question on teamwork. Now, teamwork, again, we touched on that earlier. But with teamwork, and this is a nice question, grade 12s, and I also want to show something to you. So the question asks us, so should a business consider teamwork in the workplace? Motivate your answer. So this type of question, grade 12s, it's an opinion-based question, but it's also very much you need to be able to substantiate why did you say yes or why did you say no. Now, often with a question like this, if you don't say, if you just say yes or no and you don't explain or motivate why, you don't get a mark for that yes or no. And that's pretty scary. So you've just lost 2 marks because you didn't just add on why. So with these questions, always yes or no, and explain to us why. So I've got 2 different, remember this is opinion based, so I've got 2 different answers here. So you could have said yes, companies need teamwork. So yes, I started with no, so let's go with no first, sorry. So it could be no, companies do not need workplace for, should businesses consider teamwork? Motivate. So you can say no, businesses don't need teamwork. Why? Because too much time is wasted on discussions and strategies. So in teamwork, you know what it's like. You need to sit there and everybody has to agree on why you're doing this or why or which way forward. So teamwork can often be very time consuming. Another reason why you could have said no would be it could lead to conflict. We've done a lot of stuff on conflict today. So teamwork can create conflict. And the last possible reason could also be, I've got a few here, if there is no cooperation amongst team members, the organization will be unable to achieve its objectives and goals. So the question was, let's go back to the question, should a business consider teamwork in the workplace? Motivate your answer. So you could have said, in this case, the first answer I have here is no, and explain it. And a lot of these things, it's not difficult. You can figure this out for yourself. You can draw from your own life experience and say why teamwork isn't great. The next option that I have for you is looking at the answer from the yes perspective. So yes, teamworks are good for business. Why? Because employees' effectiveness and productivity is improved. Remember, a lot of the time, if you're sitting there and you're coming up with your own ideas, your own plans, you literally stuck with only yourself. When you work in a team, you get other people's ideas, and it could literally, it's the whole idea of also synergy. So you can get more done if there are more people, right? Now, another reason why teamwork could be good, because it enhances morale and motivates employees. And one more, employees are given a chance to take part in the decision-making process. And again, remember, if you're part of decision-making, chances are that you will buy into the idea a lot more. So teamwork, to a large extent, will help people be more involved in the actual company. So that was a nice question. I can fit in another good question.
Yeah,
so
go.
I'm going to go to another question, grade 12s.
No problem at all.
Okay, so while we're working that, so with teamwork, grade 12s, again, I just want to reiterate from business operations, well, on the thought of teamwork. So with business operations and business roles, it's very specific. So I discussed earlier the triple P, which was the profit, people, planet, and I just want to explain that again, because I'm just concerned people are getting confused with it.
Okay.
Because it's not just it's the 3 Ps, but it could also be known as something else. So I want to go back to question 4.2, and I just want to see where this information is. Sorry, don't you want to just quickly tell the mindsetters more about summer school, and I'll have this question ready for you right now.
Okay, cool. I will, no problem. So, you know that thing I've been speaking about, and I don't know if you've been listening, but like I said, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know if you're struggling with something, I suggest that you come post on our page, and that is, drumroll, facebook.com/learn extra. And if there's anything else that you don't know, you can click on our help desk, and anyone, anytime can help you, mindsetters. So don't worry and don't fear. We will help you. Go, Tanya.
Okay, cool stuff. So getting back to the 3 Ps, guys, write this down quickly with me. So people, planet, profit, and remember this is, so let's write it down and I'll explain it to you in more detail. So I've just got a page here. So the first P would be people, Second P, planet. And the third, profit. Now, these three, looking at it, when I refer to people, what I'm referring to is, are you looking after your employees? So are you following all labor laws? Or do you have a good code of ethics or code of conduct that your employees are aware of? So that's the first part. So looking after your actual employees. Then going further, so that's inside your company. Now you're going to go outside your company. So the people in the community. So again, it could be something as wide as, what are your products harming the environment? In other words, could it be harming the people living in the immediate area? So if you think of like a mining setup, something like that, where people could be exposed to pollutants. And if there are, what are you doing as a company to look after this? So people, that's covered. Also, again, let's go a little bit further with the people, the first P. It could also be the CSI, so corporate social investment. If you're making a lot of money, what opportunities are you creating for the people in the community with education, healthcare, issues surrounding that? So that's the first P. The second P would be planet, and planet goes hand in hand with environment. What are you the products, the raw materials you're using, are they sustainable? So if you're cutting down trees, what are you doing? Are you planting 3 trees for every tree you cut down? Are you recycling as a company? What are you doing to make sure that the actual environment is being looked after? Okay, I hope this is helping grade 12s, because I think this makes more sense.
Can I just quickly tell the people who the winners are? I just need to try quickly tell them. Okay, so after this whole day and all your posts and all your shares, I'm going to tell you that Vukuso Gwembeni, you are today's winner. Well done. Congratulations. You have won yourself a Learn Extra hamper. So we'll be contacting you. Don't worry. And thank you for playing, guys. Thank you all for competing in our Stop the Clock competition. I just want to say, well done. Now we can carry on.
Okay, awesome. Well done. On people who, well, the person who won the competition.
Of course.
Yes. So we've done people, we've done planet. Remember, people would be your employees inside your company, as well as the people in the surrounding community, as well as South Africa as a whole, I suppose. And then planet, so it would be the environment. And then the last one, profit. Okay, so what is so with your money being made, again, are you investing this properly? Is it sustainable what you're doing? Are you creating jobs? So it's quite a broad thing. So again, with the King's Code, these are the 3 things to keep in mind. Again, with King's Code as well, it's the triple bottom line, making sure you're getting everything in that knowing that they actually go hand in hand.
Yes, yeah. PP.
Okay. Triple P, people. And then remember, there's also the 4 Ps now. I'm getting worried you're going to get confused. It's just a nice way to remember, guys. People, planet, profit. And I have to say that this is literally, I've had a great time. I've explained a lot. I hope going through the King's Code issue helped you as well. And remember, grade 12s, with the essay, keep calm, create a mind map if you like. Remember your structure. Remember you need headings, and write in point form. You lose marks when you don't write in point form. Okay.
Is that all you have, Tanya? Can I take it away?
Yes, you can.
Thank you. Thank you, Mindsetters. Thank you for a great spring school. And now it is finally officially over. Today is Friday, day 5, and now we are finished. I'm so sorry to say, Sai. But next week it's back to normal. But I know at least you'll be learning more and learning extra. Don't forget, visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/Learn Extra. Twitter is also @Learn Extra. And in case you want to download the notes, which you should have done, that would be at learnextra.co.za/spring school. But you know what? It's Friday. It's all that we have here at the Mindset Studios. Don't forget, our winner is Vukosi Gwembeni. Congratulations, you are Stop the Clock winner. Have a good weekend, Mindsetters. We'll see you next week. Bye.